Today we're going to be looking at operators. Now, from what we did last time, we're able to look at data types, we're able to look at string, float, boolean, the non type, and we're able to combine Python inputs to it. Now, coupled with the previous topics, Python variables, creating of variables, and we learn about Python programming, the overview, the history, the programming jobs, the Python extensions for Python files, the Python syntax and indentations. So today we're going to be looking at operators. We're going to be starting with operators today. Now, remember I said under operators we have three. The operators, Python operators is categorized into three. We have arithmetical operators, we have comparison operators, and we have logical operators. Now, for arithmetical, we're going to be starting with arithmetical operators today. Now, I've opened a new file called arithop.py. So we're going to be starting with that today. So I'm going to title this arithmetical operators. And under the arithmetical operators, we said the arithmetical operators are just the mathematical signs. Let me add that to it. Sorry, these are mathematical signs, signs like addition like addition, like subtraction, like multiplication, like division, and there's one more thing, and that's modulus. So you're going to be starting with this today. Now let's start with the first one. Remember we have done variables, so we're going to be making use of variables here. Now to start with, we're starting with addition. Now how do we make use of addition signs? Now remember that the addition sign is we call it plus sign, right? Now the subtraction sign, the subtraction we call it minus. The multiplication, yeah, this is multiplication, but when you are making use of it on your keyboard, you don't make use of X, you make use of asterisk. Okay, so I would say that X is equals to asterisk in Python, so meaning you're meant to use asterisk and not X. Now we also have division. Now division normally is made written as a dot minus dot, like that. But in programming we make use of forward slash. Then for modulus symbol is the percentage sign. Okay. Now let's start with the first one, addition. Now for addition, let's have two variables called x. Let's make x 20, and let's create another variable called y. Let's call y 30. Now we can create addition. You understand? We can create a variable called addition. That's addition. Addition here is another variable. You understand? I'm using as a variable now. So addition now equals, instead of me, remember what we said about variable? Variables are names that hold value. So instead of me saying 20 plus 30, okay, instead of me doing this, of course I can have my results, but instead of me doing this, I will only refer to the variables, meaning x plus y. Okay, and the next is for me to print the result. So the result I'll be printing here is going to be the variable called addition. Alright, so now let's print the result addition. Okay, now let's run this and let's see what we're going to be having. Of course, the answer we should be having here should be 50. Hope you can see it, 50. Okay, so so next time we're going to be putting space at the top and below. Okay, at the top and below so that it won't just join with other things, you know. So I'm running this again. Alright, so we'll be having this, so it won't join with other text. Is that okay? Alright, so that's that. So that's that for addition. Is that okay? That's that for addition. Now let's look at now instead of me just having 50, okay, you remember there's something we under data types we look at strange, and we say strange are letters, they are textual data, they could be in words, they could be in sentences. So instead of me just having 50 as the answer, let's add a string that will make our answer, that will make the result more presentable. Okay, so let's have something like, say, let's have a formatted string. Now a formatted string is a string where you include variables. You include variables in a formatted string. Is that okay? So I'm going to be doing this. I'm going to be typing F, meaning formatted string. Then I'll be using my single quotes. Okay. Now within the single quotes, remember everything you'll be typing must be within the single quote because we are making it a string. And remember this addition here is a variable, but now it has turned into a string. So for this addition variable to remain as variable in our print line, we need to put it in a curly bracket. I mean this and this. You see that? Now it remains addition as a variable. So now we don't just want the answer to be 50, but I want to say, like, say the result or the sum of, I'm going to put a variable x. Okay, remember if it's a variable, I will not just type x, I will have to put it in a curly braces, okay, to make it remain as variable. So the result of x, the sum of x and y, okay, equals the addition, meaning it will be, by the time we print this, we'll be saying the sum of 20 and 30 equals the result, that's 50. Okay, so now let's run this again because we'll be applying this for others. So let's run this again and let's see how that looks. Alright, do you see that now? The sum of 20 and 30 equals 50. Okay, so we did just want to, instead of us having the answer as just 50, okay, so this looks more presentable. I hope you get that. Alright, so that's that for addition. Okay, now let's look at another one, subtraction. Now for subtraction, we're still going to be using our x and y. Okay, now because we have declared our x and y, meaning because we have made x equals a value and y also equals a value, it may not be necessary repeating that again. Is that okay? So what I'll just do now is I'll just create another variable called subtraction. Okay, and I'll say my subtraction this time is going to be x minus y because it's already there, so there's no need repeating it. Say x again, I put x again 20, y again 30. No, you understand, except if you want to make use of another values for your variables, for the for the x and y, then you can declare another one. Say like, say you can say x equals 90 and y equals maybe 120. You understand? So but if you are still going to be making use of same values, the same 20 and 30 that you have earlier declared, then there's no need doing this again. Is that okay? So in this case, I don't want to declare a different x and y. Let's still keep using our initial x and y. Okay, so in this case, I'll just create another variable called subtraction, and I will say this is going to be x minus y. Okay, so my print line is going to be, remember, let's always put space above and below. Okay, so I'll be saying print an empty string. You understand? Or instead of doing this, why not just copy what we have up here? Okay, let's just copy what we have up here and edit. Okay, so so what I'll just do is I'll just change this sum. Instead of me saying the sum of x and y, I will say the difference between x and y equals the variable called subtraction. Okay, Alright, so now let's run this and let's see how that looks. So what you're going to be expecting here as output is going to be the difference between 20 and 30 equals, you understand, that's what the answer is meant to be. And of course 20 minus 30 will be giving us a negative number, minus 10, but 30 minus 20 will be giving us 10. You can use your calculator to cross check that. Okay, so that's when the smaller number comes first, you understand. If you are subtracting the bigger number for the smaller number, it will be giving you a negative answer. If you are subtracting a smaller number from a bigger number, it will give you a positive answer. You can use your maybe your phone calculator or something to cross check. Okay, so let's run this and let's see how that looks. Remember, you can always see that we are having a negative 10. Okay, remember, you can always watch this over and over again, you understand. But regardless, if you still have any if you need a clarification, remember to drop your question in the group. Okay, all right, now let's go for multiplication. All right, here I'll be creating a variable called multiplication. And I will say this is going to be x times y. Okay, so let's just paste what we've had initially. So I'll say the sum of, so instead of me saying sum, it's going to be the multiplication of x and y equals the variable called multiplication. Okay, all right, so let's run this again so that we just have everything together. All right, let's run this again. All right, you see that the multiplication of 20 and 30 is 600. Okay, so let's do for division also. Division. So here I'll create a division, a variable called division, and I'll say this variable equals x divided by 1. Best practice, always put space in between your operands and your operators. Okay, always put space. It's not bad if you do it this way, no space, you understand, it will still run fine. You can see it's not showing us any error, like any red on the, line or whatever. It's still fine, but best practice, for clarity purpose, always put space like this. Okay, all right, so let's print. So here we're going to be saying the division of x by y equal, that means we are dividing x by y, we are dividing 20 by 30. That will be giving us a decimal number, a float. Okay, so this should equal the variable called division. Okay, so let's run this and let's see what we've got. All right, see that we are having 0.66666 forever. See that? All right, now and there's something here I would like to show you here. Let me just do this first, then I will tell you what it means. Run this again. Okay, we are having now what I'm doing here, let me see what I've done here is I'm trying to make this into significant figure. Okay, let's say 1f. Let's see what 1f will do. Okay, it's not making any difference, but there's something we can still do. We can round it. You can round it, like say round, then you apply a bracket here, so you can round this up to the nearest, maybe to the nearest whole number or something. You understand? You can round it up to 2f. Let's see if you can apply the dot 2f here. All right, good. So we are having into significant figure. It's giving us 1.00. You get it now? So it's simply rounding it up to the nearest whole number. That's what it means. So the 2f there is just the number of zeros you're going to be having. For example, if you make it 1, it will tell you to give you 1.0. Okay, you see that's 1.0. So even if you don't put, but if you don't put any of this, maybe you just leave it as maybe you just leave it as this, it will just give you the answer as 1. Is that okay? So you can see it depends, it's your option. You can round it or you leave it the way it is. Okay, so I'm going to leave it the way it is. Okay, but just take note of that. You can always round your numbers. Okay, so please take note of that. You may not see that as a topic, but let's just take note of it. All right, so that's division. Now let's go for modulus. Now modulus is an operator in arithmetical aspect of this, and what it does is that a modulus returns remainder. For example, if I say if I create a variable called modulus and I say let me put some numbers now. Let's say 90 modulus 20. Now what it's saying is that when you keep subtracting 20 from 90, okay, for example, if you subtract 20 from 90, you'll be having 70. From 70 you can still subtract 20. You understand? You have 50. From 50 you can still subtract 20, meaning that when you keep on subtracting 20 from 90 to the lowest, you understand, at the end you can either have a remainder or not have a remainder. Now in the case of 90, of course there will be a remainder of 10. Okay, so meaning that 90 modulus 20 is 10. Is that okay? But when you look at a number like 100, for example, when you say 100 modulus 20, 100 modulus 20 will give you no remainder. That will be 0. So modulus returns remainder. Is that okay? Modulus return remainder. So now when we have remember the two values we are dealing with, what are the two values now? 20 and 30, right? So when we say x modulus y, of course what we are simply saying in essence is 20 modulus 30. Now this may look very impossible because there's no way you can subtract 30 from 20, but let's see what it's going to give us. Okay, so now let's see what we're going to be having. So the modulus of 20 and of x and y, that's 20 and 30, equals the variable called modulus. So let's see what this is going to give us. Alright, you see it's giving us 20, because now this 20 is very impossible, because now for example because at first there's no way you can subtract 30 from 20. That's very impossible. So in the case of modulus, you always have a bigger number, you understand, followed by a smaller number. Okay, so that's what I'm going to do now. So I'll make this x is smaller, that's 20. Okay, so let's run this again and let's see what we've got. Oh, I think we are still right. It's still right. Now in the case of the first one, 20 by the modulus of 20 and 30. Now what Python has done is that Python has rearranged it by itself, meaning that when you subtract 20 from 30, of course the result should be 10. Is that okay? The result should be 10, but now it's giving us the result as 20. I don't know what's going on here, but we can just do a kind of you can do something different here. Okay, so I'm going to call this modulus 2. This is just a test. Okay, let's say the modulus of 50 and let's say 20. Okay, the modulus of this should give us but when you subtract 20 from 50, that you can do that twice and you should have a remainder of 10. Okay, so modulus 2, let's see what it's going to give us. Yeah, you see that? So we are having 10. Okay, so likewise here also, when we say the modulus of 30 and 20, of course, oh, you see that? You should change that here. You change that here, so this should be, this bigger one should come for, that's y. and followed by the smaller one, which is x. I think that's where our mistake is coming from. So let's see. So this should give us 10. Okay, it should give us 10, not 20. Yeah, you see that? So the modulus of 30 and 20 is 10. So that should be the correct thing. So that's that about arithmetical operators. Is that okay? So now for logical operators, we'll be looking at that in next class. But I'll be sending the assignment to the group as a link. So see you next time. Thank you.